One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in its soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only Manso can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hears battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he paves his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Yes, sir. Much love and respect to everybody. Let's get it in this morning. So check it out. We got a very good one this morning, man. We got RFK Jr. endorses Donald Trump. We're going to go into the whole speech. But first, I want to give a big round of applause to you guys, all of you guys at the Breakfast Club. Thank you guys for becoming channel members. That is how you guys can best support the channel, very much monetarily anyways. But if you guys would like to help out the channel for absolutely free, please just make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure that you guys are also subscribed. I see about 40% of you guys are not subscribed. So please make sure you guys are subscribed down below. And for everybody that's new, man, I very much appreciate all of you guys. And thank you all for subscribing to the channel. Also, check me out on my Instagram at BallValveTV. Also, real quick, last but not least, if you guys would like to help out monetarily with, hey, YouTube does take 30% of super chats, channel members, stuff like that. So if you guys would like to help out the show monetarily with zero cut from YouTube, we have it scrolling down below. We have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. That's how you guys can get a shout out live onto the show, as well as, just like the actual super stickers and super chats and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I can't thank you all enough for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. It's awesome to see all of you guys, man. And this morning, I actually had an amazing gift show up on my porch. You know what I mean? It was really cool to wake up to that. And I hope we get to see the man, the myth, the legend that sent it to us this morning, because I'd like to go ahead and show it off. What's good, Glare? Much love and respect. We got Big Joe, Lee, Steve, Gary up in the building. We got Shadow. Man, it's always legendary to see all of you guys. What's up, Process? Good to see you, my man. And also Code. I very much appreciate all of you guys for being in here. Selfire, much love and respect to you. We got Chuck as well. Sup, fuckers? Just wanted to say what's up. Hope y'all have a great day. Got to head to class. Be easy. Hey, much love and respect, Chuck. Hey, hopefully that you get some downtime so we get to play Once Human, man. That's a great game, man. I've been really actually enjoying that game. I'm actually kind of a little bit far into the game now. I think I've got about 35 hours into it. What's up, Dwayne? Good to see you as well, my man. Hopefully you got to enjoy yourself yesterday. What's up, Chase, my man? How's it going? And Ron all the way over there in Australia, man, as well as Junkyard. Wow, should be sending my package to you soon. Oh, shit. I very much appreciate you, Junkyard. You guys don't have to do that. I always feel very honored when you guys send me something, man. Frank says, morning all, what's up? And no, of course, I will not do that. Come on, Papa, you know better than that. You know better than that. But hey, because the speak of the devil, he's here. I want to thank Papa Penguin for sending me an epic package this morning. So the first thing that came in was he sent me this, which is Rules for Radicals. Check that out. I'm excited to actually read these, dude. because I'm all about it. And then we got quotations from Chairman Mao. I don't know how to say his last. Say Tung. I don't know. Well, I will get better and I'll figure it out. And then the last one's meditations. So not only that, but he sent a nice little pick me up. Look at that. Bowman Brothers, Pioneer Spirit, Virginia Straight Bourbon Whiskey. That's what I'm talking about right there. So I'm very grateful, man. Thank you for sending me anything, let alone these amazing gifts, man. So I'm very honored by all of it. Thank you, kind sir. All right. So I'm very, very honored with that. So let's see. Smash that like. That's right. That is the #1 metric of all of YouTube. Rules for radicals and Mao's little red book are basically the Dem TTPs. What? Okay. Now I'm for sure. I knew there was gonna be something involved in this. Say Tongue, what up, Tongue? How about that? What up, Drezo? Appreciate you, my man, and as well as Carney's Ride, my man. Appreciate you. All right, so let's go ahead and review this speech. Now, this was a big deal for all of Americans, to be honest, that RFK Jr. decided to basically step aside and endorse somebody. And I think we all know who by now. It is Donald Trump. Now, of course, he's going to receive some backlash from the Democratic Party because this is kind of a big deal. I mean, you kind of, if you look at his entire family, it's all been left. So doing something like this, endorsing Donald Trump, was actually a huge deal. So we're going to go ahead and review that very speech, and we're going to get into it together. I made sure that I went and brewed myself a brand new batch of coffee right here. So we got our super hot coffee that I made 5 minutes before the show. We got our, our vape on, and we got our, that kind of stuff on. So we're good. We're good. Much love and respect to everybody. Good to see you all. Let's go ahead and dive deep into this. So this is off of Live Now from Fox. You guys already know I'm subscribed. I'm going to go ahead and hit that like button for YouTube and let them know that we're doing the right thing over here on Insane Wheels. So let's go ahead and start watching this. Let's review this.
I'm sorry to keep everybody waiting. 16 months ago, in April of 2023, I launched my campaign for President of the United States.
We know that.
I began this journey as a Democrat, the party of my father, my uncle, the party which I pledged my own allegiance to long before I was old enough to vote. I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960.
Damn, age of 6.
And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because
it very much is,
Steve, so dramatically.
But 6% is
from
still
the core
a lot
values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war.
What's up, Pitbull?
Censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventional wisdom said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate in history had ever achieved.
But he did.
And then I'd need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. The naysayers told us that we were climbing a glass version of Mount Impossible.
Mount Impossible.
So the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong. We did it because beneath the radar of mainstream media organs, we inspired a massive independent political movement. More than 100,000 volunteers sprang into action, hopeful that they could reverse our nation's decline.
Yeah.
Many worked 10-hour days, sometimes in blizzards and blazing heat. They sacrificed family time, personal commitments, and sleep month after month, energized by a shared vision of a nation healed of its divisions. They set up tables at churches and farmers markets.
It's almost like he's about to
canvass door to door. In Utah and in New Hampshire, volunteers collected signatures in snowstorms.
We all love you, Hardwire.
Convincing each supporter to stop in the frigid cold, to take off their gloves, and to sign legibly. During a heat wave in Nevada, I met a tall, athletic volunteer who cheerfully told me that he had lost 25 pounds collecting signatures in 117-degree heat. To finance this effort, young Americans donated their lunch money, and senior citizens gave up part of their Social Security checks. Our 50-state organization collected those millions of signatures and more. No presidential campaign in American political history has ever done that. And so I want to thank all of those dedicated volunteers and congratulate the campaign staff who coordinated this enormous logistical feat. Your accomplishments were regarded as impossible. You carried me up that glass mountain. You pulled off a miracle.
It's good.
You achieved
I'm going to be
honest.
It's good that he's being extremely grateful to the people that went out walking from door to door, knocking on doors, calling people on the phone, you know what I mean, and getting signatures. And he's actually putting the amount of appreciation in the beginning of his speech, which is actually pretty commendable. Because, you know, for the most part, most people are going, come on, get on with it. But he's actually showing appreciation to the ones that were working hard out there every single day trying to get signatures just for it to end like this. So to show his appreciation, that is actually, I commend him on that.
All the pundits said could never be done. You have my deepest gratitude, and I'm never going to forget that.
See?
Not just for what you did for my campaign, but for the sacrifices you made.
Welcome, bro.
Because you love our country.
Sorry to hear it's crazy.
You showed everyone that democracy is still possible here. It continues to survive in the press and in the idealistic human energies that still thrive beneath a canvas of neglect.
It's a political
and of
blender.
Official and institutional corruption. Today, I'm here to tell you that I will not allow your efforts to go to waste.
Good.
I'm here to tell you that I will leverage your tremendous accomplishments to serve the ideals that we share, the ideals of peace, of prosperity, of freedom, of health, all the ideals that motivated my campaign. I'm here today to describe the path forward that you've opened with your commitment.
Here we go.
And with your hard labors. Now, in an honest system, I believe that I would have won the election. In a system that my father and my uncles thrived in, a system with open debates, with fair primaries, with regularly scheduled debates, with fair primaries, and with a truly independent media untainted by government propaganda and censorship.
Mm-hmm.
In a system of nonpartisan courts and election boards, everything would be different. After all, the polls consistently showed me beating each of the other candidates, both in favorability and also in head-to-head matchups. But I'm sorry to say that while democracy may still be alive at the grassroots, it has become little more than a slogan for our political institutions, for our media, and for our government, and most sadly at all for me, the Democratic Party.
That's sad.
In the name of saving democracy, the Democratic Party set itself to dismantling it, lacking confidence in its candidate, that its candidate could win in a fair election at the voting booth. The DNC waged continual legal warfare against both President Trump and myself. Each time that our volunteers turned in those towering boxes of signatures needed to get on the ballot, the DNC dragged us into court, state after state, attempting to erase their work and to subvert the will of the voters who had signed those petitions.
Drive through.
It deployed DNC-aligned judges to throw me and other candidates off the ballot and to throw President Trump in jail.
Oh, boy.
It ran a sham primary that was rigged to prevent any serious challenge to President Biden. Then, when a predictably bungled debate performance precipitated the palace coup against President Biden, the same shadowy DNC operatives appointed his successor, also without an election.
Yep.
They installed a candidate who was so unpopular with voters that she dropped out in 2020.
The left has become so radicalized that someone like RFK Jr. would be considered a far-right extremist at this point. But it's so funny because he is the typical old-school Democrat, you know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy.
Without winning a single delegate. My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President...
if this is your very first time ever hearing RFK Jr. speak, then it may be a little weird because, I mean, his voice obviously doesn't sound like any of ours. So, yeah, he does have some sort of disease. I forget if that's the one, but there's something that he has that unfortunately makes him sound like that. But yeah, nonetheless.
President Harris has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with...
Did you hear that? What did he just say right there? Let me back it up 10 seconds. Listen to what he says right there. Oh shit, here it comes. We're doing the exposing bit.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview.
No, she hasn't.
Or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days. This is profoundly undemocratic.
And that script to voters is only like 6 minutes to the public, except for that DNC speech, which was, of course, all scripted. Of course, we know that. But yeah.
How are people to choose when they don't know whom they are choosing?
Good to see you,
and
brother.
How can this look to the rest of the world? My father and my uncle were always conscious of America's image abroad because of our nation's role as the template for democracy, the role model for democratic processes, and the leader of the free world. Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors and balloons in a highly
no kidding, Papa.
Reduced Chicago survey.
I mean, what he's doing right now could, I mean, I could see how and why that could make you a target to certain people. You know what I mean? Without me saying it, so I don't break any YouTube guidelines here. Yeah, I mean, there might be a reason. It seems like all his family got unalived for certain reasons, and maybe he's a few steps ahead of everybody else. Never know.
Circus there
right.
In Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times,
147
just on the
times.
first day.
Damn.
Who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate?
No kidding.
In contrast, at the RNC convention, President Biden was mentioned only twice in 4 days.
Wow. What a fucking ordeal right there. That's crazy. 147 times in the DNC, Trump was talked about 147 times. That's a lot of times to be mentioned. Just in the first day. In all of the RNC, Biden was only brought up twice. Damn. That's crazy.
I do interviews every day.
Yes,
many of you have interviewed me. Anybody who asks gets to.
And he said that anybody that asks gets to interview me. And I'm like, man, I guess I should have reached out to his team and interviewed him, huh?
interview me. Some days I do as many as 10. President Trump, who actually was nominated and won an election,
I haven't seen that,
also
Marcus.
does interviews daily.
Send that to
How
me on
did the
Instagram.
Democratic Party choose a candidate that has never done an interview or debate during the entire election cycle? We know the answers. They did it by weaponizing the government agencies. They did it by abandoning democracy. They did it by suing the opposition and by disenfranchising American voters. What most alarms me isn't how the Democratic Party conducts its internal affairs or runs its candidates. What alarms me is the resort to censorship and media control,
which he got a lot
and
of
the weaponization of the federal agencies.
He's right.
When a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression. And that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press, and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot.
No kidding,
But
Blair.
here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs.
Oh, yeah.
Over the course of more than a year in a campaign where
Shit, we know that. We know that the media is bought out by the left. We already know that. You know, the media was originally made to G-check anybody in power and those that are in the political realm. It was to basically G-check them, to make sure that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And unfortunately, if you can't beat them, you join them kind of thing. So what they did is just bought out the media. So boom, now they've got leverage, which, you know, the three forms of leverage in life is money, skills, and media. And if media being one of them, you know that unfortunately, the politicians also know this. So that's why it's, of course, been bought out. Now, this is why people like myself who are independents in the media realm, it's gotten way more popular to be able to discuss this. And because everyone knows that this is not bought. This is not a bought opinion. There are people that get bought opinions and they start spewing bullshit, and he may know it's bullshit, but the people that are listening don't know that. You know what I mean? And so it's very it's all like kind of an illusion. You know what I mean? So just
poll numbers reached at times in the high 20s. The DNC-aligned mainstream media networks maintain a near perfect embargo on interviews with me. During his 10-month presidential campaign in 1992, Ross Perot gave 34 interviews on mainstream networks. In contrast, during the 16 months since I declared, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN combined gave only 2 live interviews from me. Those networks instead ran a continuous deluge of hit pieces with inaccurate, often vile, pejoratives and defamatory smears.
What up, Ghost Eagle?
Some of those same networks
man.
And colluded with the DNC to keep me off the debate stage. Representatives of those networks are in this room right now, and I'll just take a moment to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility.
Hello, Melissa.
The duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear, skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power.
Coffee time.
You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power. This week, a federal judge, Terry Doty, upheld my injunction against President Biden, calling the White House's censorship project, quote, the most egregious violation of the First Amendment in the history of the United States of America. Odie's previous 155-page decision details how just 37 hours after he took the oath of office, swearing to uphold the Constitution, President Biden and his White House opened up a portal and then invited the CIA, the FBI, CISA.
Now he's talking about getting all of the alphabet agencies involved into a realm that they should not be involved in, and Biden invited it.
Which is a censorship agency. It's the center of the censorship industrial complex. DHS, the IRS, and other agencies to censor me and other political dissidents on social media. Even today, users who try to post my campaign videos to Facebook or YouTube get messages that this content violates community standards.
Happens all the time.
2 days after Judge Odie rendered his decision this week, Facebook was still attaching warning labels to an online petition calling on ABC to include me in the upcoming debate.
Because he never gets included.
Community standards, their community standards.
Which is true because, you know, the mainstream media, I believe they only picked him up twice during his whole campaign run. I believe the mainstream media only picked him up twice about his whole campaign rather than just asking him a question or two. And I believe he says something about that. But yeah, it's very true how people were pissed off that RFK didn't get the limelight that he should have gotten. And yes, he is interesting enough that, yes, he would usually probably be in the media. Normal, if it wasn't him, he'd probably be in the media more often. A lot of you guys are hearing him speak for the very first time right now, which is crazy to me.
The mainstream media was once the guardian of the First Amendment and democratic principles.
See? We were just saying that, how the mainstream media was the one that was supposed to guard and basically protect the people, and it kept politicians checked up by us. But he's saying that it once was the guardian of the First Amendment. Here it goes.
Was once the guardian of the First Amendment and democratic principles, and has joined this systemic attack on democracy. It also, the media justifies their censorship on the grounds of combating misinformation, but governments and oppressors don't censor lies.
Hell yeah, Steve. Go enjoy, man. Lies. Much love, honor, and respect.
They fear the truth.
Go have fun,
and that's
man.
what they censor.
Get some pictures.
And I don't want any of this to sound like a personal complaint, because it's not. For me, it's all part of a journey, and it's a journey that I signed up with. But I need to make these observations because I think they're critical for us.
Fact, Papa.
Doing the thing that we need to.
I just got to point that out. Papa Penguin says something very factual here. Too many people expect big daddy government to keep them safe or feel comfortable taking from their neighbors. And that's very fucking true right there. It's sad. It's a sad reality. That's where it's gotten to. Absolutely.
To do as citizens in a democracy, to assess where we are in this country and what our democracy still looks like, and the assumptions about U.S. leadership around the globe.
Typical right there.
And are we living up? Are we really still a role model for democracy in this country? Or have we made it, a kind of a joke? And here's the good news. While mainstream outlets denied me a critical platform, they didn't shut down my ideas, which have especially flourished among young voters and independent voters, thanks to the alternative media. Many months ago, I promised the American people that I would withdraw from the race if I became a spoiler. A spoiler is someone.
And you know what? I got to give him props for him actually standing by that. He did tell everybody in the beginning, I'm not going to hold this up. And if I don't see that there's a way for me to win, I will drop out. And that's a great thing, honestly, because they can just stay in the race all the way until the very end. And that's it. but he did stay with that, and he picked somebody within the parties to go ahead and endorse. And obviously we know who it is, but it's definitely not gone without some backlash. There's definitely been backlash that he and his family have been dealing with ever since this ordeal, which we knew was going to happen. And it would have, I imagine that if he would have gone on the Democrat side, Republicans would have been up in arms about it. But I don't think it would have been anything like, where he's getting harassed. I don't think that would have happened. But, that's beside the point. He's still receiving a lot of backlash right now, which super sucks. You should be able to make an endorsement without there being some sort of threat involved, which there always is. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and continue.
Will alter the outcome of the election, but has no chance of winning.
Well, I'm
in
sure
my
of that,
heart,
Claire.
I no longer believe that I have a realistic path to
It
electoral
almost
victory
sounds like it.
in the face of this relentless systematic censorship and media control. So I cannot in good conscience ask my staff and volunteers
That's a fact
to
right
keep
there.
working their long hours, or ask my donors to keep giving when I cannot honestly tell them that I have a real path.
That's right, Dark Horse. Get it, homie. Breakfast Club, what's up? Hey, we're all enjoying ourselves, man. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for liking the video. It is the #1 metric of all of YouTube. If you guys can do me that favor and just hit that like button. You don't necessarily have to like it for what he's got to say, but like it for me and what I've got to say. So I very much appreciate it. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed down below. I very much appreciate you guys hitting that sub button. I see it every single day. I watch the numbers climb because of you guys. So I very much am honored by you. And also, if you guys would like any sort of shout outs, we got memberships, we got super chats, and we also have, what's scrolling down below, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, any of those, any dollar amount gets you a shout out. So I very much appreciate all of you.
To the White House. Furthermore, our polling consistently showed that by staying on the ballot in the battleground states, I would likely hand the election over to the Democrats, with whom I disagree on the most existential issues: censorship, war, and chronic disease. I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not
suspending it and endorsing. So what does that mean?
Ending it. My name will remain on the ballot in most states.
Honestly, why though? Like, what's the benefit for that? Does anybody in the chat know what the benefit would be for him to say that? That's weird.
You live in a blue state.
Shout out to you.
You can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. But in about 10 battleground states,
that makes sense, Claire,
where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. And I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me.
Wow.
It's with a sense of victory.
Urge voters not to vote for me. Whoa.
And not defeat that I'm suspending my campaign activities. Not only did we do the impossible by collecting 1 million signatures, we changed the national political.
Rebecca, what up? What up? Good to see you over there from Canada. Who in the world's that? This is RFK Jr. So this is the guy that is kind of like that middle ground, at least in what he is known for in the political land. What he was is somewhere independent, right? But he's really not. But nonetheless, he ran independent, and right now he is dropping out. Now this guy didn't get the media coverage that everyone else in the political realm got. He actually should have gotten a lot more interviews and coverage, but he didn't. So this may be the very first time that you guys hear him. And if you guys are hearing him for the very first time, you may think he sounds weird. Well, that's because he does have some sort of throat disease or some of the sort. So it makes them sound like that. So, yes, it's kind of weird, but this may be the very first time that you guys have ever heard him speak.
Political conversation forever. Chronic disease, free speech, government corruption, breaking our addiction to war have moved to the center of politics. I can say to all who have worked so hard the last year and a half, thank you for a job well done. Three great causes drove me to enter this race in the first place, primarily. And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump.
Whoa, there it is.
The causes were free speech, a war in Ukraine.
There it was.
And the war on our children.
He dropped the bomb just there.
I've already described some of my personal experiences and struggles with the government's censorship industrial complex.
What up?
I want to say a word about the Ukraine war.
Shout out.
The military industrial complex has provided us with a familiar
and it is crazy
comic book justification like they do on every war.
It got way more radical.
This one is a noble effort to stop a supervillain, Vladimir Putin, invading the Ukraine and then to thwart his Hitler-like march across Europe.
Makes sense, Nimrod.
In fact, tiny Ukraine is a proxy.
Which is okay. I mean, honestly, which is okay because those Democratic, states are never going to vote Trump in. California, for instance, would never the electoral vote will never go to Trump or anybody that's on the right. That's just the way it is. So it makes sense that RFK Jr. wouldn't drop out in Cali because Trump ain't going to get it anyways. And yeah, I mean, I could see how that is politically played for sure.
In a geopolitical struggle
initiated
by the ambitions of the U.S. neocons or
American
global hegemony. I'm not excusing Putin for invading Ukraine. He had other options.
Shout out to Canada.
But the war is Russia's predictable response to the reckless neocon project of extending NATO to encircle Russia, a hostile act. The credulous media rarely explain to Americans that we unilaterally walked away from 2 intermediate nuclear weapons treaties with Russia and then put nuclear-ready Aegis missile systems in Romania and Poland. This is a hostile act.
That's facts.
And that the Biden White House repeatedly spurned
Good to see you, Barbie.
Russia's offer to settle this war peacefully. The Ukraine war began in 2014 when U.S. agencies overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine.
2014.
And installed a hand-picked pro-Western government that launched a deadly civil war against ethnic Russians in Ukraine.
Sheesh.
In 2019, America walked away from a peace treaty, the Minsk Agreement, that had been negotiated between Russia and Ukraine by European nations. And then in April of 2022, we wanted the war. In April of 2022, President Biden sent Boris Johnson to Ukraine to force President Zelensky to tear up a peace agreement that he and the Russians had already signed, and the Russians were withdrawing troops from Kiev and Donbass and Luhansk. And that peace agreement would have brought peace to the region and would have allowed Donbass and Lugansk to remain part of Ukraine. President Biden stated that month that his objective in the war was regime change in Russia. His Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin simultaneously explained that America's purpose in the war was to exhaust the Russian army, to degrade its capacity to fight anywhere else in the world. These objectives, of course, have nothing to do with what they were telling Americans about protecting Ukraine's sovereignty. Ukraine is a victim in this war, and it's a victim of the West. Since then, of Russia and both Russia and the West. Since then,
beware of your guys' comments, everybody. We're talking some heavy political shit right now. So, what do you expect to happen in the chat? You guys are definitely going to be, the AI is strict on you guys right now. That's for damn sure. So be careful out there.
We have, since tearing up that agreement, forcing Zelensky to tear up the agreement, We've squandered the flower of Ukrainian youth, as many as 600,000 Ukrainian kids and over 100,000 Russian kids, all of whom we should be mourning.
No way.
Have
Nimrod,
died.
for real?
And the Ukraine's infrastructure is destroyed. The war has been a disaster for our country as well. We squandered nearly $200 billion already. And these are badly needed dollars in our communities, suffering communities all over our country.
I appreciate you, man. Drive
the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage and the sanctions have destroyed Europe's industrial base, which formed the bulwark of U.S. national security. A strong Germany with a strong industry is a much, much stronger deterrent to Russia, and a Germany that is deindustrialized and turned into just an extension of a U.S. military base. We've pushed Russia into a disastrous alliance with China and Iran.
I don't think ever.
We're closer to the brink of nuclear exchange than at any time since 1962. And the neocons in the White House don't seem to care at all. Our moral authority and our economy are in shambles. And the war gave rise to the emergence of BRICS, which now threatens to replace the dollar as the global reserve currency. This is a first-class calamity for our country.
He's speaking facts right there. That's some serious shit he's talking about right now, the U.S. currency.
I heard bellicose, belligerent speech last night in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, big time, Dwayne.
We can assume that President Harris...
They feel like they got backstabbed by this dude, which, I mean, I understand. I mean, the dude was known as a Democrat, so people would automatically assume if you're running as an independent and you drop out of the race, it would kind of go hand in hand that you would pick the liberal side, the Democratic side, right? Well, there's a huge reason why he's picking Trump, and I think you guys all know what is going on here. I mean, he's explaining it and exposing it all live
be an
on
enthusiastic advocate for this and other neocon military adventures. And President Trump says that he will reopen negotiations with President Putin and end the war overnight as soon as he becomes president. This alone would justify my support for his campaign.
What up, Beezer? Shout out, man.
Last summer, it looked like no candidate was willing to negotiate a quick end to the Ukraine war, to tackle chronic disease epidemic, to protect free speech.
No kidding.
Our constitutional freedoms, to clean corporate influence out of our government, or to defy the neocons and their agenda of endless military adventurism. But now one of the two candidates has adopted these issues as his own, to the point where he has asked to enlist me in his administration.
Blair. That's a fact.
I'm speaking, of course, of Donald Trump. Less than 2 hours after President Trump narrowly escaped assassination, Callie Means called me on my cell phone. I was then in Las Vegas. Callie is arguably the leading advocate for food safety, for soil regeneration.
Woo! Straight Jacket out here speaking damn facts. He says, don't be quiet, y'all. Just figure out a way to say it. Everyone keeping it in is why the ones who do speak get to be wild as fuck. Hold the line, brothers. That's a fact. I got to give you that, man.
And for ending the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying America's health and ruining our economy. Callie has exposed the insidious corruption at the FDA, the NIH, the HHS, and the USDA that has caused the epidemic. Callie had been working on and off for my campaign, advising me on those subjects since the beginning. And those subjects have been my primary focus for the last 20 years.
You're not looking big picture.
I was delighted when Callie told me that day that he had also been advising President Trump. He told me President Trump was anxious to talk to me about chronic disease and other subjects and to explore avenues of cooperation. He asked if I would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day. A few weeks later, I met again with President Trump and his family members and close advisors in Florida. In a series of long, intense discussions, I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues, In those meetings, he suggested that we join forces as a unity party. We talked.
And during this whole speech, man, I feel like I need what Papa Penguin sent me, some Bowman Brothers, man. Some straight bourbon whiskey. This is what I need right now. I just ran out of coffee. I'm almost thinking about doing a little dash skis, but nah, it's too early. It's 10:45 in the morning for me, so I'm gonna wait it out. Maybe for tonight, for sure.
About Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals. That arrangement would allow us to disagree publicly and privately and fiercely, if need be, on issues over which we differ, while working together on the existential issues upon which we are in concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first administration, and there are still issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences. But we are aligned with each other on other key issues, like ending the forever wars, ending the childhood disease epidemic.
Oh, wow. We got an amazing donation right here from Nimrod saying, new fan, I'll be adding you to my must-watch channels. Wow, dude, I'm freaking honored by that. Thank you. Much love, loyalty, honor, and respect, Nimrod. We cover a whole bunch of stuff, man, and usually I do a lot of breakdowns of the liberal side. It's kind of hard for me to go ahead and let's say in this speech, in RFK's speech, it's really hard for me to actually talk about a lot of the Republican/conservative side in general, because I agree with most things being said. Now, because most things are being said that I agree with, I'm not going to sit there and pause it and be like, oh yeah, I agree with this point. Like, I automatically agree with it if I'm not really saying much. But the truth is we review a lot of the liberal side over here on purpose. And that's where I am pausing and exposing and bringing facts and stuff like that. So, but I very much appreciate that, Nimrod. This is exactly how the channel stays afloat and how we, collectively, this is you guys supporting the channel, man. And I can't thank you guys enough. I'm honored, Nimrod, with that. Thank you again for the donation. It goes super far. $1 is like $100 right now. So
securing the border, protecting freedom of speech.
That's right, Dean.
Unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, getting the U.S. intelligence agencies out of the business of propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans and interfering with our elections. Following my first discussion with President Trump, I tried unsuccessfully to open similar discussions with Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris declined to meet or even to speak with me. Suspending my candidacy is a heart-rending decision for me, but I'm convinced that it's the best hope for ending the Ukraine war and ending the chronic disease epidemic that is eroding our nation's vitality from the inside, and for finally protecting free speech. I feel a moral obligation to use this opportunity to save millions of American children, above all things. In case some of you don't realize.
Hell yeah. We over here on the Breakfast Club, which is what we call each other here, and you guys, all of you guys in the community, man, is that we have a smoking clique and we have a smoking crew. You know what I mean? So, and some of us join and participate in both. But listen, man, over here, I'm definitely a 420 connoisseur. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we get down with our bad selves over here. And family isn't always family. Family isn't always blood, I mean. And Glare, you're 100% right on that. And that's right. Straight jacket, puff, pass. G, that's right. We get down. We don't cap over here on this side of the internet.
How dire the condition is of our children's health and chronic disease in general. I would urge you to view Dr. Carlson's recent interview with Callie Means and his sister, Dr. Casey Means, who is the top graduate of her class at Stanford Medical School. This is an issue that affects all of us far more directly and urgently than any culture war issue and all the other issues that we obsess on and that are tearing apart our country. This is the most important issue. Therefore, it has the potential to bring us together. So let me share a little bit about why I believe it's so urgent. Today, 2/3, we spend more on healthcare than any country on earth, twice what they pay in Europe.
Damn.
And yet we have the worst health outcomes of any nation in the world. We're about 79th in health outcomes behind Costa Rica and Nicaragua and Mongolia and other countries. Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. And during the COVID epidemic, we had the highest body count of any country in the world. We had 16% of the COVID deaths, and we only have 4.2% of the world's population. And CDC says that's because we are the sickest people on earth. We have the highest chronic disease rate on earth. And the average American who died from COVID had 3.8 chronic diseases. So these were people who had immune system collapse, who had mitochondrial dysfunction. And no other country has anything like this. 2/3 of American adults and children suffer from chronic health issues. 50 years ago, that number was less than 1%. So we've gone from 1% to 66%.
Holy shit.
In America, 74% of Americans are now overweight or obese.
God damn.
And 50% of our children. 120 years ago, when somebody was obese, they were sent to the circus. There were case reports done about them. Obesity was almost unknown.
That's right, Stephen.
In Japan, childhood obesity.
You're more than welcome here, man. That is awesome, Stephen. Thank you for being here. Shout out to you. Much love, honor, and respect. You are, of course, welcome here. And this is for everybody. You know what I mean? I don't just cover one topic or one thing. It's world news, geopolitics. I'm a political satirist, as well as, I report on biker news and stuff like that. So we do it all over here. We do all sorts of different shit. So good morning. I appreciate you guys for being here.
Obesity rate is 3%.
Thanks for hitting that like button.
Compared to 50% a year. Half of Americans have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. When my uncle was president, I was a boy. Juvenile diabetes was effectively non-existent.
No, I haven't
A typical pediatrician would see one case of diabetes during his entire career, a 40 or 50-year career. Today, 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his office door is diabetic or pre-diabetic. And the mitochondrial disorder that caused diabetes, also causing Alzheimer's, which is now classified as diabetes. And it's costing this country more than our military budget every year. There's been an explosion of neurological illnesses that I never saw as a kid: ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, Tourette's syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, Asperger's, autism. In the year 2000, the autism rate was 1 in 1,500. Now, autism rates in kids are 1 in 36, according to CDC nationally. Nobody's talking about this.
What up,
1 in every 22 kids in California has autism.
Here, man. Much love and respect.
And this is a crisis that 77% of our kids are too disabled to serve in the United States military. What is happening to our country?
For real.
And why isn't this in the headlines every single day?
Everything is.
There's nobody else in the world that is experiencing this. This is only happening in America. About 18%. And by the way, there has been no change in diagnosis, which the industry sometimes like to say. There has been no change in screening. This is a change in incidence. In my generation, 70-year-old men, the autism rates are about 1 in 10,000. In my kids' generation, 1 in 34. I'll repeat.
They are on they're on SSRIs. They're on opiates, opioids. Xanax and shit like that. Yeah, absolutely. We have the most amount of people that are on medication, which is insane. And take that from what you will, like Papa Penguin says, it's something to remember and consider.
In California, 1 in 22. Why are we letting this happen? Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? These are the most precious assets that we have in this country. How can we let this happen to them? About 18% of American teens now have fatty liver disease. That's like 1 out of every 5. That disease,
Lissa, I am extremely honored. Like I literally get beside myself once in a while. I mean, it's all the time actually, but every single day I am so above and beyond grateful for you guys that are here supporting the channel, supporting me, showing the love and support that you do, not only to me, but actually to everybody in the community, man. Like, that's what's awesome about this is I don't even care if you have an opposition of ideologies or worldviews than I do. I actually promote and want to hear your side of the story. You know what I mean? So I'm very honored with every single one of you guys, and just know that I value all of you. So much love and respect, man, to all of you.
It only affected late-stage alcoholics who were elderly. Cancer rates are skyrocketing in the young and the old. Young adult cancers are up 79%. 1 in 4 American women is on antidepressant medication. 40% of teens have a mental health diagnosis.
Nimrod. Yep.
And 15% of high schoolers are on Adderall, and 500,000 children on SSRIs.
Shout out West Virginia.
What's causing this suffering? I'll name 2 culprits. First and the worst is ultra-processed food.
13 years, Bob?
About 70% of American children's diet is ultra-processed. That means industrial manufactured in a factory. These foods consist primarily of processed sugar, ultra-processed grains, and seed oils. Laboratory scientists who many of them formerly worked for the cigarette industry, which purchased all the big food companies in the 1970s and 80s, deployed thousands of scientists to figure out new chemicals to make the food more addictive. And these ingredients didn't exist 100 years ago. Humans aren't biologically adapted to eat them. Hundreds of these chemicals are now banned in Europe, but ubiquitous in American processed foods. The second culprit is toxic chemicals in our food, our medicine, and our environment.
I very much appreciate
pesticides, food additives.
More than you know, man. Thank you for that compliment. That kind of shit goes a long way, and it goes to the bank, man. And I hope that I can show a level-headedness during such chaos where there's such radicalized ideologies and worldviews. I hope that I can show some sort of level-headedness where it's like, okay, dude actually got a clue. He's basing his shit off of facts, not off of emotion, just like the left is doing. And I hope that I can represent Christian ethics and also the right to the best of that I can. You know what I mean? So, hey, it is what it is, right? We put a lot of work into
pharmaceutical drugs and toxic waste permeate every cell of our bodies. The assault on our children's cells and hormones is unrelenting. To name just one problem, many of these chemicals increase estrogen because young children are ingesting so many of these hormone disruptors. America's puberty rate is now occurring at age 10 to 13, which is 6 years earlier than girls were reaching puberty in 1900. Our country has the earliest puberty rates of any continent on the earth.
Do we? For real?
And no, this isn't because of better nutrition. This is not normal. Breast cancer is also estrogen driven.
I heard that,
and it now strikes 1 in 8 women. We are mass poisoning all of our children and our adults. Considering the grievous human cause of this tragic epidemic of chronic disease, it seems almost crass to mention the damage it does to our economy. But I'll say, it is crippling the nation's finances. When my uncle was president, our country spent $0 on chronic disease.
This is insane.
Today, government healthcare spending is almost all for chronic disease.
Crazy.
And it's double the military budget. And it is the fastest growing budget item in the federal budget. And chronic disease costs more to the economy as a whole, costs at least
I'm going to be honest, I'm glad that I live where I live, Straight Jacket. I'm going to be 100% real.
$1 billion, 5 times our military budget. And that's a 20% drag on everything we do and everything we aspire to. Poor and minority communities suffer disproportionately. People who worry about DEI or about, bigotry of any kind, this dwarfs anything.
Damn.
All right, everyone. The big news there, RFK Jr. out in Phoenix, Arizona, endorsing Donald Trump, suspending his campaign.
That is absolutely insane. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that that is some crazy shit and something that maybe you guys didn't see coming, or maybe you did see coming? Maybe you're like, hey, we see where he kind of falls in today's demographics of politics. It's kind of crazy out there right now. Listen, man, I try my absolute best to do as much research and stuff behind the scenes to be able to have the most amount of knowledge on these topics. And so your guys' love and support, your guys' liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all the donations, man, it adds up, man. It goes so much further than people even understand. People go like, man, I could only send $5, but hey, listen, $5 is $5. It adds up. So I very much appreciate everything that you guys do, man. Thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart for being here and enjoying your time, man. Please make sure you follow me on my Instagram, where I post everything behind the scenes, updates to the show, also what we're going to be doing the next days and stuff like that. And I vlog my lifestyle, man, because the truth be told is, I don't mean to sound like this guy or nothing, but the truth is I do a lot of interesting shit, and I film all that interesting shit to make sure that we can all enjoy it together. So with that being said, I very much appreciate all of you guys. Much love, loyalty, honor, and respect. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning. And I'm getting my haircut done today after the show. So I'm excited. Here in an hour, going to get myself a nice haircut. Much love. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning.